As we strengthen our security systems, the terrorists counter with a different kind of threat, aimed at a different target, using different means. The potential to plant an explosive somewhere in the millions of pieces of air cargo shipped around the world daily is clearly a vulnerability. The Department of Homeland Security must use this near miss to redouble its work with other countries, airline carriers, and shippers to tighten the security network. We must move quickly to shore up our defenses without interfering with the legitimate flow of commerce. And of course, that is always the challenge that we face. Currently, maritime cargo manifest information must be submitted to DHS at least 24 hours before a cargo container headed to the United States is even loaded on a ship overseas. Using this information and other intelligence, the DHS targets high-risk cargo for inspection prior to the ship's departure to this country. In sharp contrast, air cargo manifest information is required to be submitted only 4 hours before the cargo arrives in the United States. That is a major difference. And it means that the information is often transmitted to DHS while the aircraft is in the air, providing no opportunity to conduct further inspections of flagged cargo before departure. In some ways, that reminds me of the problem with Abdul Muttalib, where he was flagged and was going to be stopped, but only after he arrived in the United States. It seems to me we have a similar problem in the case of our air cargo. In that vein, I still remain concerned about the intrusiveness and effectiveness of the advanced imaging technology and the potential negative health effects. As Mr. Pistol knows, this is an issue that I've mentioned to him many times, as well as to Secretary Napolitano in multiple letters to the administration. I believe the department should independently evaluate the health effects of that technology and should consider software that is in use at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam that respects travelers' privacy by automatically identifying objects that may be threats, but by using featureless images of travelers. But for the intelligence tip that was provided by our ally, would our current security systems have detected these package bombs?
My professional opinion, no.
And so that raises the issue of what can we do to make sure that in the future, if there's another attempt to exploit the gaps in air cargo security, that we have closed those gaps. Because in many ways, we were lucky that we had an ally with extremely specific intelligence information that allowed us to target these packages before harm was done. What's the single biggest change that you think we should be making?
We have high confidence in the known shippers and that supply chain, those who do business in the shipping industry, and you know, there's over 8 billion, almost 9 billion pounds of cargo that come into the U.S. every year, about 2/3 on cargo planes such as UPS and FedEx, about the other third, over 2.6 billion on passenger planes. We have high confidence, again, in those international shippers with established records. The challenge becomes those such as these individual packages out of Yemen or other hotspots, if you will, around the world, where there's not a known relationship with the carrier or the shipper, and the challenge of screening those packages in the same way that we would require here in the U.S. There are several challenges there. One is just the capacity of some countries. So some countries, for example, like Yemen, when I visited there a couple weeks ago, they had an X-ray machine that they use for cargo. but they were not using explosive trace detection or 100% physical inspection of packages, which we're requiring now. So there's a number of issues and challenges there.
And with Yemen, I would be worried about the people doing the screening and whether they share our goals.
You raise a very good point. So what I was describing was a physical screening, but the insider threat, if you will,
Exactly.
what type of vetting and validating of those individuals is being done, and that's obviously uneven around the globe.